already marriage counselors frown at divorce, right? So when we get to bloodshed, I mean, it's a big cause for concern, and that's why we have you. Should I say Pastor TATOH Kenneth? Right, as she said, so welcome.
Thank you very much, Divine. Good morning to you, and good morning to our viewers.
Right. This is a sad thing to say going forward, but then we need to see it because that's the trend now.
It is quite unfortunate, and you know,
scared that it could keep on galloping.
Actually, because if it keeps replicating itself, I mean, the risk of having it happen again and again is really there, and it is very important that, I don't know whether to say, a crusade should be launched to sensitize our people against this vice. Is really horrible, because when it gets to loss of life and other things, in fact, it's so horrible. Right. You see, the woman say bong chupti.
What does that mean?
It's better to, in the midst of everything else, let people be alive.
Right.
Because if people remain alive after everything, it is going to, there's a possibility for reconciliation, and things can always be brought back to the rails.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that, yeah, like the case in Boya, you said, very young girl.
And these are not married people. These are just boyfriend and girlfriend.
That is the worst part of the story. You know, people who their future is still, you know, so they have more of the days ahead to live, and the life just snatched out of. And it's so sad. It's sad because it is not worth it.
Right.
But we must say that when somebody is under emotional duress, anything can happen.
Right.
A reason why it is very important that we who are still here should really get these things done in us, so that we preempt getting to that point.
Right.
That is actually the most important. One challenging issue about this is that when it happens, you and I will only read between the lines. We can have a crude version of the story, but the truth of it is known only to the two people.
Right.
Yeah. Now,
right, because with the Cincinnati case, for example, I don't know, they were heaping blame on Takam Christopher, others were taking sides with the lady,
yes,
and so on.
There are already several versions of what happened, and at the end of it all, you won't know which of the versions is genuine.
Okay.
Some say the man came and married the woman here to over. Some say, in fact, that they were married here already, and so the things are mixed up. And you know, at the end of it all, we will use this precious time we should have been using in the proper conduct of the development of our continent to be talking about things which could have been avoided if people had transformed minds through the knowledge they acquire as far as social relationships are concerned. Right.
Before we move on, and I'm just looking at this handsome man and the beautiful lady, and I'm saying, my God, what could have gotten them to this stage? But then before we move on, you were just recalling a while ago that, I mean, it's not very new as a phenomenon in Cameroon. You were citing a couple of cases from 2015 in Bambili.
Yeah, 2014. I think a case happened that in Bambili, and in 2019 there was a case in Boya, and in fact
and these are only cases that are reported. There could
cases that are reported.
There are not even mentioned.
There are some people who do it silently.
Right.
Yes. So it is actually a serious situation that needs to be done. I don't know. It involves both the family. There should be education at family level. It involves the church. It involves society at various levels. It involves I don't know why the government won't think of introducing sex education on social relationships as part of the curriculum in one way or the other, so that in fact we shouldn't breed people who are successful on the platform of career but are social dwarfs who will not be able to make it to live in society, or who will not be able to fulfill their marital destinies because it was aborted on the platform of some foolish relationship that ended up taking their lives prematurely.
Right. I guess it's time for us to look at cause and effect. And you just mentioned one of the causes, social dwarfs, or social dwarfism could be one of the big causes for this. But then, what are the main causes?
The causes of all of this is, as I said, when somebody becomes emotionally tensed.
Right.
It is very difficult to bring such a person under control, because the person is it's like his mental chemistry at that time is not really in order. When somebody is under emotional tension, they care less about the legal repercussion of what they want to do. If somebody gets to a point where he takes his life away, you can imagine that he cares less about anything.
He's giving up.
Yes, he has given up on life
completely.
Yeah, because if it was going to be something different, if for instance the case in the US, if he shot the lady and remained alive, that okay, he wants to face life, it will be something. But he shoots the lady, calls the police, and before the police reaches, he opens fire on his own self.
Right.
Yeah, so it is such a huge blow that at that time he cares less about anything, the human rights laws and everything, and the penal laws, that in fact he cares less about them. Because an alternative can be, maybe he could shoot himself and may not die.
Yeah, like the case in Boya.
Like the case in Boya. So at that time, maybe you will receive medical attention, and then after that you face the wrath of the law. But at that time, he cares less about anything that could come his way. So under emotional tension, it is a very, very difficult issue. And it calls for us to get to the point where people should learn to make things right with their creator, so that your emotions don't rule you.
Okay.
When your emotions rule you, you can always be like, you do things and regret, you do things and regret, because emotions have these undulations.
Had I known.
Yeah. Emotions always have these undulations. There will be times of happiness, times of sadness, there will be times of this and that. So when somebody is under that emotional control, he will end up doing things like the things we're saying, and will regret that. If I knew, I wouldn't have done this, or I wouldn't have gone this far.
Right, but being the expert that you are, I'm just going to bluntly ask you the question. Now you get married to a lady, you probably spend half of your wealth on her education and upbringing in general, and she comes home, and at the end of the day, she's dating and fornicating, adultery. Right. She's going out with your neighbors and so on. That's a delicate situation. What do you tell spouses in situations like that? Because we're getting close to homicides.
Actually, I think importantly, people should learn to exercise self-control. You, a married person, you're supposed to focus on your spouse. Now, if it gets to where it has happened, let's say the man has found that the wife is going on, the best of things you can do in this case is, you still have life to live. For instance, the man in the US, he died at 49. Yeah, 49 is not too old a person that he can't, reconstitute his life.
Right.
Yeah,
presidents being elected in Africa and re-elected at 70, 75, 80 years old.
Yeah, the Bible says there is more hope for a living dog than for a dead lion. That's what the Bible says in the book of Ecclesiastes. So it is very important. Yes, it's important you reconstitute, and it's a conscious decision. It's intentional what you have to do. Decide that I will live, I will move ahead again. Okay. And when you do so, you trust God. There is a way what you might have not been able to achieve in 49 years, you can achieve in 3 years. God is not a man.
In other words, would you prescribe separation? I didn't say divorce. Okay, the wife has been cheating on me despite everything, or the husband has been cheating on the wife despite everything. Should the lady just walk away, go away, and abandon him with his behavior and misbehaviors? Yeah,
there are times separation can sort things out.
I know that's against what you preach.
Yes, but there are times
you preach unity of couples, and this, but that could be the remedy.
When it has gotten to a point where the two living together, things can rather escalate. Separation at times is advised. Okay. Yeah, because when they separate, over time there will be a time of reflection. There will be a time where people can rather get back to themselves. Though the reverse can happen, where the separation will rather cause them to drift apart. But there are times where, when the tension is right up there, it is better for them to separate and then reconstitute themselves and relaunch again now on a better footing. Okay. Yeah, there are times like that. I've had a case where I spoke with a couple where, in fact, it was so tense that the man was at the point where, in fact, if he kept on with the lady, he could commit murder. Okay. Because each time he sees her, in fact, he is just so tense and he's so angry. So in such an instance, there could be a temporary separation, and while maybe the two parties, there is counseling, they work with them and see how they get back together.
I'm just going to do this now. There's one guy who reached out to us. You didn't leave us your name. You didn't say anything. That was on Friday, last Friday, before this one. And you said you were having serious issues with your marriage. And I sent you back an SMS and I said, please send us your name and your location, because we cannot address anything like that if you don't identify yourself. Then we're just hitting the rocks and so on. So we're expecting that you send us another SMS with exactly the issue you have in your marital life, and our expert will be able to give you an idea at the beginning of a solution. I just want you to leave your number so that they can get to you directly, or your PA's number.
All right, I'll leave. My number is 675-270883. I take it all over. 675 27 08 83
83, right? One last word for those who've listened to you right now.
Yeah, I just want to encourage people that please, more or better are the things that are ahead. There is no need to, take life out of your own self or out of the self of another person, because there are people who did not kill their lovers or ex-lovers. They decided that they should leave. They can't bear the shame, or they can't bear the distress that they are facing now. They decide to commit suicide and go. There is no need for that. When you summon courage and face the situation you are in, God can always sort you out, and things can always get better, and those old memories will be a thing of the past.
Great stuff, really. I was going to let you off the hook, but I will not do it, because what we have coming up right after your intervention, I think is quite interesting. Because recently, Africans were known for using aphrodisiacs. Afro means African something now, disiac. So they use them on their spouses, and the spouses think that, yeah, we have a strong guy, a strong lady here. Gradually, they've graduated into using love charms to win over and keep the people they want to call partners tomorrow. Would you advise that?
It's not good. It is really discouraged. What is there is love that is not nurtured on or with pure intentions is always ephemeral. When it's short-lived.
Right.
It is better to practice love in its social and moral form for somebody to respond to it. And if you do it in fact using other means, other methods, the person's life or the person's eyes may get open sooner than later, and you will become an enemy of the century in the person's life.
Right.
And most of those things, in fact, their efficiency is limited, and often there is always a dark side to it, which is in fact will turn around to get you who practice it. So the most important thing to do is express pure love. Somebody responds to it, and two of you build. By the way, those love charms can only get somebody to be behaving sheepish behind you, like a sheep. But there is a commitment which is always supposed to be there to build love, or to keep love moving ahead, to keep love going. And if that commitment is not there over time because the person has regained consciousness, you are in trouble.
All right.